Senator Thune, the Senate's #2 ranking Republican. Senator, good to have you with us today.
Hey,
I think I'm going to remind everybody the comments that Senator McConnell was referring to yesterday from President Biden. Let's take a look.
So I ask every elected official in America, how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be on the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis?
So comparisons, I would assume, to Senator Sinema, Senator Manchin, to Jefferson Davis and Bull Connor. How did that sit with you, Senator?
He's attacking some of his own members. We're not the only ones, Republicans, who are adamantly opposed to what they're trying to do here. But, you know, Martha, that was just, it is, as Senator McConnell pointed out, profoundly unpresidential. Joe Biden is a better person than that. This was a racially tinged attack and designed nothing more and nothing less than for a political moment. He's trying to generate energy among their political base over an issue that, honestly, legislatures all across the country decide every single year. There are always election laws that are being considered. The laws that are being passed by Georgia have been very mainstream, and to suggest that Georgia is somehow, you know, their legislature, their political process down there, racist because of laws that they passed, in many cases that make it easier to vote. In fact, their laws are much more permissive than some Democrat states like New York, where Senator Schumer's from, or Delaware, where President Biden's from. So this is just a manufactured crisis designed nothing more than to get a political reaction and to try and generate political pressure on Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, who they need to break the Senate rules and literally destroy the Senate and ultimately dreadfully harm the country.
You can imagine what President Biden thinks of legislators in Delaware and New York who,
right,
as you point out, have more strict voting rules than the new rule in Georgia. I just want that to sink in to everybody for a moment here. But, you know, you've been around politics a long time, and you just announced that you're going to run again for your Senate seat in 2022 in South Dakota. What do you think is at work here? Because this is Joe Biden when he was running for president, and this is the Joe Biden that Senator McConnell referred to. Watch this.
I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to govern as an American president. I'm going to work as hard for those who don't support me as those who do. This is a moment to put country above party.
So now he's comparing people to Bull Connor, and he's doing it in a place where Stacey Abrams wouldn't stand up and stand next to him on the podium, and a lot of voting rights advocates wouldn't show up to be there. So, you know, how is he picking his lane right now politically? What's going on?
Well, I think they're at a loss because nothing else is working. I mean, their economic agenda is taking the country into the ditch. If you look at inflation, you look at open borders, you look at the defund the police movement in our cities and what's happening there. You look at national security and the disastrous exit from Afghanistan. They are doing anything they can, Martha, to distract from all these other issues. And they're playing a card, which, again, is very dangerous. That was an incredibly divisive, incredibly partisan, incredibly polarizing speech yesterday. Nothing more than to try and propagandize this issue. This is not an issue. This is not an issue that's on the radar screen of the American people. It is easier, not harder, to vote in America today than it ever has been before. And evidence of that is the 2020 election. I mean, it was a record turnout. We haven't seen that kind of a turnout since 1900. And steps that are being taken in places like Georgia with amendments to their election process are simply normal things that state legislatures do on a routine basis. And as I said, in many cases, make it more permissive, not less so, for people in Georgia to vote. And that's the irony about all this. But they are desperate right now, and they're acting like desperate people.
You know, we're looking at images of the president and the vice president when they got off the plane yesterday in Georgia. And I just go back to what the political strategy is, because there's no indication that this can pass. And as you just mentioned, 6% of those polls say that voting rights is a top priority for them. 6%. So I'm just wondering what's going on with the chief of staff in the West Wing when they have these discussions and say, let's put all of our chips on the table for this because BBB didn't pass. So here's Chuck Schumer, who spent 2.5 hours each with Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema trying to pull him across the line. Here's what he said.
We're having a lot of serious, long, and intense meetings with Senators Manchin and Sinema. We're trying to come to a place where 50 senators can support 2 bills and with a change in the rules so we can get the votes to pass these bills into law.
So what's your read, Senator? Is there any chance that this passes?
No, and the reason is because Sinema and Manchin are standing strong against all this pressure that's being brought on them by the Democrats. But they understand that where the people in their states are, and I think they are the few, perhaps, in the Democrat caucus right now who are actually listening to what people around the country are saying and what they care about. The Democrats have an incredibly left-wing, radical agenda, partly driven because people like Chuck Schumer are worried about being primaried in the state of New York, and the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democrat Party is ascendant right now. This is a calculation, obviously, to try and energize and activate their political base at a time when they're a little bit deflated because their agenda has fallen flat. And one of the reasons it's fallen flat is because it's so far out of step and out of the mainstream with where the American people are. This is a left-wing radical agenda which needs to be stopped. And what they're trying to do, because that has been stopped so far in the Senate, is now blow up the Senate, literally blow up the rules in the Senate so they can pass anything they want with 51 votes. And that's why this enormous amount of pressure is being brought on those 2 Democrat senators. And it's a real travesty. It really is. I mean, this is demagoguery of the worst kind being used both here in the Senate and by the president yesterday in Georgia. And it's just got to stop. I mean, this is not the way to unite the country. Everything the president said yesterday further divided it. He ran as a uniter. He ran as somebody who's going to try and bring people together, and he's doing just the opposite with his agenda and with this kind of rhetoric and with this tactic being deployed by his leadership in the United States Senate.
Senator Thune, thank you very much. You decided that you're going to run again. Before I let you go, you've also said that future positions in leadership are one of the reasons that you decided to run again for the Senate in 2022. Would you want to replace Mitch McConnell as majority leader if that were in the cards?
Well, yes, you know, Martha, Mitch McConnell's not going anywhere, but I'm here. I've got a job to do. I'm going to try and do it well and help our team succeed, which right now means stopping this radical leftist agenda, and we'll let the future take care of itself.
I would also assume by your decision that you think that Republicans can retake the Senate in 2022.
I do believe that, and I think it's going to be a blowout election based on what the Democrats are doing today. And I think if we play our cards right and offer an agenda to the American people that talks about the future, not the past, and talks about the issues they care about and not all this tangential stuff that these guys are involved with right now, we could have a really good year. So I'm hopeful, and for the country's sake, I'm hopeful.
We'll see what happens over the next 10 months, and if they decide that they need to shift gears, because as you point out, not too much is working at the moment, but things change quickly in politics. Senator, thank you very much. Senator Thune of South Dakota.
Martha.
Great to see you, sir. Thank you for being here today.